And I'm going to go back and do another plug for my bootcamp, the Guide to Building and Selling Security Programs, because I focus on this topic explicitly, how to better differentiate yourselves from your competitors, leveraging the topic of cybersecurity. The market landscape, it's changed quite dramatically. And over the last 10, 15 years, MSPs have evolved quite dramatically as well. We've gone from MSPs in a market where we offered break-fix engagements. You waited by the phone, waited for a customer to call you to tell you that something was broken. You then hopped into a truck, you went out to their location, spent time fixing it, and then once you got the issue resolved, you then sent them a bill for that. That was based on the amount of time it took you to fix it. So we've kind of moved beyond that model, and now MSPs are offering monthly prepaid contracts. And our messaging is we're promising uptime, we're promising reliability and performance stability because of these prepaid managed services contracts. And so our sales messaging back then, it was centered around response times, customer experience, providing uptime, avoiding downtime. But those benefits, they're all given now. Customers expect that of their MSP. And so when you expose benefits like that, they're basically telling you, yeah, I know that. They're not impressed. They know that's your job as an MSP. And it's because MSPs have done a really, really good job of educating businesses on the value of managed services, educating why break fix is no longer a good business model and why they should have a managed service provider working with them. But now, because of all the changes that we've seen happening over the last 3 to 5 years in the market landscape, especially as it relates to security and the ever-evolving changes that have been happening in the security threat landscape, we need to evolve the sales messaging now. And it starts by addressing the real security threats and the real concerns that are plaguing businesses today. And so MSPs now need to shift that messaging. They need to almost restart the education process with their customers all over again, but this time the education is all around, how to best protect and secure customers and keep them safe, how to help them reduce and mitigate their cyber risk, kind of the same list that I talked about in step one, how to help them avoid being a subject of a security breach, how you can help their business become more cyber resilient, how your cyber protection strategies that you're recommending is going to help minimize and reduce downtime associated with a cyber attack, should they get breached. That is the new messaging now that the sales teams need to be using in their conversation with prospects. All sales conversations now that anybody is having with a prospect has to lead with security, and it has to include a discussion around risk mitigation and risk mitigation strategies. Because again, your goal is to now educate them that they need to take security seriously and they need to improve their overall security posture, because that's what's needed to better protect employees and that critical data that they're interacting with on a daily basis. And so in that boot camp, I do talk about different stats, different metrics, examples that you can use to really drive home that point when you're speaking to prospects. As an example, if you review the 2022 SonicWall Cyber Threat Report, this is a really good report that if you haven't read it yet, I recommend you go find it, read it, have your sales team read it, have them take that report with them when they go out on sales calls or any sort of threat reports that you find. There's a lot of quality ones out there, because you can use those reports in your sales process to highlight how important it is that that your prospect needs to improve their security posture if you've been able to identify that not much is being done before, if they feel a little lackadaisical about it. But, using stats like, cyber attacks continue to increase year over year. Ransomware is up another 105% in 2021. And, we talk a lot about ransomware. It tends to grab the majority of the headlines. But another big issue that's coming up and starting to emerge is phishing and business email compromise, because those attacks are on the rise as well. And there was almost 20,000 attacks reported to the FBI of business email compromise in 2020, and it totaled a loss to businesses of 1.8 billion. And the FBI actually thinks this was underreported, so it's actually much more. There was another report, the 2022 Unit 42 ransomware threat report. It says that the average ransom demand payment, it hit a new high in 2021. It climbed 78% in 2021 to $541,000. So these stats, what they do is they just continue to prove that this is just a business for hackers. You know, not to take it personally, they don't care who they hurt or who they attack. You know, they're making money off of stealing businesses' data and encrypting data. And as long as businesses fail to make security a priority for their business, this hacking business is just, this breaching business is just going to continue to rise. It's a moneymaker for them. And then as of the third quarter of 2021, the average length of downtime interruption after an attack on a business in the US, this is a US stat, 22 days. So your primary benefit of having your prospect enroll in your cybersecurity program is to help them avoid becoming a statistic and to minimize the impact of downtime because of an unexpected ransomware attack. You know, we can't prevent everything. We can do our best, but you know, we're just trying to stay one step ahead of the hackers. So in your messaging, you know, you can say things like, you know, we can help you avoid being shut down for 20+ days, you know, should you be breached, by enrolling in our cyber resiliency program. You know, or you can say, we can help you avoid having to pay a ransomware demand payment of $500,000 or more through our cyber hygiene prevention strategies. But again, if you go in and pull some of these threat reports that are out there, you're going to be able to reference, you know, some good stats that you can use to help elevate your talk track and your messaging with prospects. But it is having, you know, the security and the business risk mitigation conversation. That's what's going to help differentiate yourself from other MSPs that you're competing against, because a lot of MSPs still aren't having these types of conversations and haven't done this.